answer 4 burning questions. Up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, April 3rd. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Chris Towers. And first question, is Garrett Crochet an ace? He certainly looks like it at home against the Braves. 7 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts with 18 swinging strikes. Used this new cutter out of nowhere, Chris. What do you think? Can Garrett Crochet be an ace?
All right, so can Garrett Crochet be an ace? Yes. Is Garrett Crochet an ace? TBD.
Yes.
Around this time last year, Taj Bradley came up with a ton of hype, made his first 2 starts, struck out 16 in those first 2 starts. I think he made 1 start, then was sent down and was kind of a disaster the rest of the way. It could go that way for Garrett Crochet. It's certainly possible. It might even be more likely than not that Garrett Crochet is not a must-start pitcher moving forward for fantasy. And there are certainly longer-term inning concerns for a guy who has thrown 85 and a third innings since 2020. That's including 2020, so 4 seasons. There are lots of ways that things could go wrong for Garrett Crochet, but the stuff looks unbelievable. He's hitting 99. He's sitting 96, 97 with the fastball. It looks really good. The slider's great. The cutter looked really good today. He did this against the Braves, arguably the best lineup in baseball, certainly probably the deepest. So, yes, he can be an ace. Whether he will be, he needs to be rostered in absolutely every league where he's available.
He is.
That's what I'll say.
77% rostered is Garrett Crochet. That needs to be 100%.
It's 23% too low.
And on other websites, he's even more widely available. So just check, because Garrett Crochet needs to be rostered. Mm-hmm. Second burning question, could Brice Turang steal 40 bases this year? He's already got 6 in the first, 5-6 games of the season for the Brewers. He's started 3 of 4 games, 95th percentile sprint speed. Last year, he had 26 steals. He also hit .218 with a .585 OPS. Chris, what are your thoughts on Brice Turang?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly got the physical capability to steal 40 bases. He stole 45 and was caught stealing 4 times in 190 games at AAA. So I absolutely think he has the ability. It's not a question of whether he's fast enough. It's a question of whether he'll hit enough. He was more like a 280 hitter at AAA, but obviously lower level of competition, inflated offensive environments often in AAA. So I think there are a lot of questions about the bat for Brice Turang. But I mean, if this guy hits 250, he legitimately might be a 40 steal guy. So in any categories league, I think Brice Turang needs to be rostered.
25% rostered. I think if you're playing a daily lineup league too, even if he doesn't play against lefties, if you're really diligent and on top of those lineups, whenever Turang's in the lineup, just throw him in there and rack up the steals. Number 3 is Shane Bieber back. He was awesome again. He was at the Mariners, 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, 11 swinging strikes on 83 pitches. Chris, is Shane Bieber back?
I'm not ready to say that. One of the reasons why we're excited about him as a potential bounce back candidate this spring was he went to driveline baseball, put in a lot of work to build his velocity back up, rework his breaking balls. Breaking balls still look quite good. The slider especially has been very effective in the early going. The fastball velocity was only 91.6 miles per hour after being 91.3 last year. It was mile per hour up in his first start, but it came back down in this one. So I'm a little less convinced that Shane Bieber is back, but that's not to say that you should just sell him for anything. I think you start looking for maybe a top 20, 25 starting pitcher and see what you can get for him.
Last up, we have Zac Gallen, who had a great start against the Yankees, 6 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts in this one, but only 4 swinging strikes. The velocity remains down. Maybe that's intentional, but Chris, should we be worried about Zac Gallen?
Yes. Now, don't read that as panic sell Zac Gallen for anything that you can get, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you drafted him as a top 10 starter, and maybe the velocity being down, the lack of swinging strikes in this one, especially only 4, maybe you put all that together and it's like, yeah, maybe he's more like a top 20 starting pitcher instead of a top 10 one. But if you're going to sell him, I think because the results have been good in 2 starts, even though the underlying stuff is a little iffy, you got to sell him for a top 10 starting pitcher. Kevin Gausman would be a good target. Tarek Skubal would be another good target. I have some concerns about Zac Gallen coming off the 243 innings that he threw last season and the velocity being down, but that's not to say I'm panicking. I'm just a little concerned.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.